Hey family, it's Marty McNair from the Fifth Quarter Live, a parent's guide to prepare your student athlete for life beyond the game. Man, it's been a minute since we did our last episode, but I'm always trying to bring new guests new relevant guests that will make a live or impact in what you're dealing with as a student athlete. So I'm really excited this evening because basically I have two very, very good friends. And basically, what I tell you, they bring a wealth of information in regards to the information that we share. And what we do most is educate parents on, how to prepare your student athlete for the next level, meaning the collegiate level, NIL, how to protect them from an insurance perspective, what forms or what legal protections or what financial protections should be around student athletes today. And most importantly, those that have been lucky enough to make it to the next level. Man, we got real live stories and relevant guests that will talk about these very things. So I'm really excited tonight because the night's episode is called, we're talking about NIL, family pressure, mindset, financial literacy, mental health, leadership, and what it really truly takes to build a legacy beyond sports. One of the big things that I'm really excited about as well through the Jordan McNair Foundation and McNair Legacy Solutions, that's basically our newest business where I was just telling my producer, Gabby, I said, hey, you know what? I've been talking about protecting student athletes, educating parents and coaches and student athletes how to protect themselves on the field literally for the last 8 years. And it was only right for me to go into this space as we continue to make impact. One of the big things a lot of people may not know in this world of NIL, I can honestly say that I am the one, Tanya and I both worked on the NIL bill in the state of Maryland. It's called the Jordan McNair Safe and Fair Play Act. And when I tell you in 2021, what we talked about or what we thought NIL was going to be, rest assured, it is not that. It has grown into something much, much more greater, much, much more larger and more monstrous, not putting a negative connotation on it, but again, a much, much larger entity than any of us could have possibly imagined at that time. So, as I said, enough about that. I want to introduce my guest this evening. I have a NFL mom, right? And this is Dara Ryan. Dara joins us to share the emotional realities, pressures, sacrifices, and lessons learned through her family's journey to the NFL. She has a son that's a rookie in the NFL now, and I can't wait to tell you about her story and let her share her story. And then we also have a motivational speaker and author with us this evening, Chet Pajardo. Chet teaches leadership, mindset, discipline, and generational wealth principles that every young athlete and family needs to hear with his Hefe lifestyle. So again, family, I am beyond excited or ecstatic to welcome my guests to the show this evening. So I'd like to welcome both guests to the show. Hey, Dara. Hey, Chet. Longtime friends of mine.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you. So thanks for joining us. So I'll start off really, really quick. I'll give you both a minute or two to really introduce yourself. So Dara, I'll let you go first. Tell us who you are. Dara, we can hear you. You're not muted.
Can't hear.
You can't hear us?
We can hear you.
All right. Well, while she's trying to work that out, Chet, I'll let you go first. Tell us who you are and tell us about the dynamic individual that you are.
Well, thank you, Marty, for that word of encouragement. I'll pay you later after the show.
I can't hear.
Hello, people. My name is Chet Pajardo. I'm the founder of a Hefe Lifestyle. I'm an author, father, life coach, and I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland. However, I reside in Los Angeles, California at this present time. And I didn't know if you wanted me to keep going, Marty, because
man, keep going, man.
No, I'm just saying because I know we can get into some Q&A, so I didn't want to, overstep the Q&A situation in that space.
No, man. I mean, hey, thank you for sharing that with us. We're going to dig deep. Dara, Can you hear us now? Dara? All right.
Can you hear us?
Hear anything?
We can hear you, Dara. We can hear you.
We can hear you.
We can hear you, Derek. Okay, let it come back in. So, Chet, hey man, as you mentioned, you are a motivational speaker, an
Yeah.
author, man, and most importantly, man, one of the big things I always, you and I have been friends a really long time, and we've had some really, really intense conversations, basically, from where we are in our space now at this ripe old age of life now, man. So, really just wanted to kind of ask you a couple questions, man, to kind of get this thing started, right? Chet, tell us about a mindset, right? Because it all starts with a mindset of success,
Yeah.
right? And nowadays, man, in the world that we're in, right, we're dealing with a lot of, man, newfound wealth, newfound opportunity, right? Especially in the sports space. A lot of families are seeing more opportunities than they probably have ever seen before based off of what their ability to, or their child's ability to perform on sports fields, right? And we just know that it doesn't always start there, right? It may start there, but at the end of the day, how do we get people nowadays really to maximize this opportunity and really make the best of it to create a generational wealth space? And then, Chet, after you answer that, then I'll bring Dara in and let her introduce herself as well.
Okay, well, one of the things, Marty, that's one of the reasons I started a Hefe Lifestyle. Are you familiar with the word Hefe? And for those who aren't, it means boss in Spanish, right? However, I changed the word to have an acronym meaning Journey to Economic Freedom and Empowerment. And through that, we cover 4 areas of mental wellness, spiritual wellness, physical wellness, and last but not least, financial wellness. A lot of people like to call it literacy, but I like to call it wellness because it encompasses more than just learning math and money. It has an emotional tie to it, and a lot of people don't understand that the spending of money has emotional ties to it. So we want to have you in our organization where you are well-rounded in all 4 areas of life and whatnot. And I hope I answered the question because it definitely deals with mindset, your mental stability as it relates. And oftentimes we as people don't necessarily have all the tools in place, especially when these young athletes come upon a great contract or contracts where they then just flush with capital gains and understanding in that space. And they really don't know mentally how to keep it going for the next generation oftentimes.
Got it. So, Chet, by you saying that, hold that right there because we have somebody, we have Darren Ryan, our guest, that's really in that position that you're talking about right now. Mm-hmm. So, Darren, you and I are long-term friends. I was at your successful son's baby shower before he was even here. Technically, you know what I mean? He was on his way. So that was a long time ago. We don't want to tell nobody's ages. But Darren, thank you for joining us this evening. Tell us a little bit about who you are. And, really, because the main thing I was telling you before the show, Darren, this is more about the experience, right? Because even when we look at the great young men that our children may have been, our sons, our daughters, may have gone, or the heights that they've gone to, a lot of times they wouldn't even have gotten there if it wasn't due to a strong mom, a strong family unit. So just tell us a little bit about who you are and we can dive right in as well.
To be on line with my 2 brothers here that I've known for forever. But yes, to everyone, my name is Dara Ryan. I am the parent, mother of Marlo Wax. He's a rookie for the LA Chargers. He previously played at the collegiate level at Syracuse University, high school level, Mount St. Joseph High School from Baltimore, Maryland. And yes, as Marty stated, it's definitely been a journey of being a parent and a single parent at that of an athlete. He lost his dad at a young age, so I became that support system as his mom, as his dad, and with a village, including his uncle Marty here and Uncle Chet. It takes a village, but to help the athlete to achieve their goals. So it's been a journey, but it's been a great journey.
Right. Hey, Derek, but let's talk about it because, really, I tell people all the time, as I mentioned, really, when we were getting the NIL bill passed in 2021, it's funny because NIL in 2021, right? Maryland may have been the 15th state that even adopted the NIL law, right?
Mhm.
California was the first law, right? The first state. And what happened was nobody, and I was even blown away when we were in this process, right, of trying to get this law passed at the state level. And one of the big things for us was even with when you looked at the bill, like first of all, I thought the NCAA was this Oz type entity, meaning you really don't know what they do. You assume they do something, but it's almost like depending on what you saw, what movie you saw, whether it was The Wiz or The Wizard of Oz. When you snatched the curtain back, you either had Richard Pryor there, or I don't know who was in The Wizard of Oz, but at the end of the day, states had all of the characters in the movie had everything within them already, right? So in other words, a state could do primarily what they wanted to do. California knew it. It just took everybody else to catch up to it, right? So when we got this law passed, basically every law had a notable provision. So we wrote the notable provision on the Maryland law, right? The Jordan McNair Safe and Fair Play Act. And for me, my big thing was I focused on the health and wellness of a player, right? Like you couldn't, if a player got injured, you couldn't rush them back to play. You couldn't threaten their scholarship and things like that. Now, from an NIL perspective or name, image, and likeness perspective, where kids were getting paid, for these name, image, and likeness, our examples were if a student athlete was an artist and they've sold a piece of art, they wouldn't be in jeopardy of losing their scholarship. If a student athlete was a musician and they played in a band on the weekends and got paid for playing that gig, they wouldn't be in jeopardy of losing their scholarship, right? That was it. That was just 5 short years ago, it seems like. And I remember, Dara, you and I would be talking, this had to be, because we were still wearing masks, so this was 2022, because the law really became in effect for everybody in 2021, right? And I remember when you would call me and say, bro, they're offering Marlo was he the first young man, first student athlete at Syracuse to get an NIL deal, or he was one of the first?
He was one of the first. Like it was just a small group of them
Got
who
it.
were like the face of the program at that time,
Uh-huh.
and they the ones that were the ones that started it.
Got it. So I remember you and I having conversations or multiple conversations. You asking me what did I think? And at the time, I believed that it was so new and there was so much ambiguity around it at that particular time. Nobody really knew what NIL was in a sense, and it's been around forever. But I think that now that players really started to get paid and money started coming in, and it probably wasn't as much as back then as it is now, right? But I remember telling you, like, Darren, I wouldn't sign up unless I had an attorney look at it, right?
Correct.
That's all I could offer at the time, Chet. Wasn't no whole bunch of I helped write the bill here. So
Right.
I didn't even know a whole lot. I don't think anybody knew a whole lot of what this thing really was. I think that when you look at an NIL deal, what I always tell people to simplify it. I always say, look at a Jake from State Farm commercial. That's the equivalent of an NIL deal.
Mhm.
Guess what? Everybody ain't on State Farm. You know what I mean? It ain't that many players on the State Farm commercial or that many athletes. So therefore, here's somebody that's saying, okay, we want you to represent our brand, right? So, Dara, how did you feel, or what made you really comfortable in signing, really signing with the organizations that y'all decided to sign on? I know you was reaching out. It really wasn't a lot of information to really say what was a good deal, what versus what was a bad deal. How did that work in your favor in a sense? Or, beyond the conversations we had, you had to be talking to somebody because y'all made some good decisions. But how was that process?
Well, I would say it was definitely one to kind of first get knowledgeable on, okay, what is NIL? You hear name, image, and likeness, but it's like,
Right.
okay, what does that really entail? I mean, of course, we know game days, you see your child and other athletes, his teammates' faces. And now it's like, okay, well, now they can get paid to see their names on these poster boards and everything. So when it came to making a decision, yes, we talked to the coaches, Then we had someone that was outside of the program that was kind of like an agent that was a little familiar with the NIL, and to kind of just get a idea from them. And then, of course, Muller had a financial advisor at that time. So for us, it was a matter of looking at the numbers. What was he going to be required to do?
Mm,
How many places could he actually have a deal with? You
mm,
know, and was it him getting 1%? Was it him getting a percentage amount? So it was just a lot of questions and things to keep in mind that was going to benefit him. But at the end of the day, it was still to benefit the brand and the school. When I say the brand, meaning the school. So each NIL thing can be set up differently. But Syracuse was a school where they weren't getting a lot like the other bigger name brand schools. I'm not going to list them,
mm-hmm,
but it still was something because it was the start of it. So
mm-hmm.
one thing for me that I told Marlo, just the opportunity to be given to you, go with it. But we're not going to chase the number. The fact that you can get the opportunity and it's coming your way, let's just make sure the numbers look right. Like you say, I definitely, before we sign anything, I want a lawyer to look at it. So I reached out to my village, like, hey, I need somebody to know a lawyer. I need this quick. And I even told, with the non-agent, they talked back and forth with the people that wanted to give Marlo a deal and let the numbers look right and give us time to sign this paperwork, because I wasn't going to be forced to just sign real quick just because you're offering it. So no, and like I've told Marty before, I treated everything like when you go into a car dealership and you buying a car. It's when you're gonna be there all day. We're gonna talk about it all day. And I'm not gonna just go for just a sales pitch talk. Don't just show me the pretty car. Don't show me the pretty contract. I need to see the small writing. I need to give me time to think over this. Let an attorney look at it. And if it didn't sound right, then we weren't going for it. But we first focused on the opportunity, not being so much focused on the number, because of course they'll throw numbers your way, but you want to make sure that it fits and it's right for your child. So
Got
those
it.
are the things that I kept in mind as a parent,
Got it. Got it.
advising my child, because at the end of the day, they're still young. I mean, they're in college, but they're not 21, so they're going to look for insight and advice from the parent. But as a parent that's new to it, you now need to go to your village and get advice. Like, okay, and Marty was definitely my first person because I knew he was involved in it,
Right.
so he could give me a little bit of insight on how to approach it.
At least the common sense factor of it, right? So, hey, look, at least that part, right? Chet, so
Yes.
look, Chet, nowadays, when you look at the FA lifestyle, when you talk about all these different things, man, and here we are, Chet, saying this is a prime example of what it looked like 5 years ago versus what it looks like now, right?
Mhm.
So, Chet, when you wrote Hefe, right? Or when you started this process and I forgot to mention that you were a life coach as well.
Right.
How does that look different now, man? With this whole thing is constantly evolving, and like like they say, Fat Joe say, yesterday's prices ain't today's prices.
Yeah. Yes. With our society, especially with the emergence of social media, Instagram, and all the other outlets that you could potentially look at. And when we were growing up, we didn't have all this available information. But one of the things I will always say to people, even though information is like a click away, phone, a text away, be mindful of looking into that information thoroughly to make sure it's the correct information, because you have a lot of people out here, unfortunately, are spreading wrong information, especially in the NIL process and in life in general. So one of the things I always tell people, even though I'm giving you this information, fact check. Really do fact check behind it. I might be presenting the information, and y'all been knowing me for years, and I don't do the wailing and over exaggeration and whatnot. And even with me, still fact check it, because I don't know everything. So I could have got a hold of some information that's not necessarily the proper information to share with someone else But me, I do my due diligence in researching, and I recommend anybody, whatever it's a NIL deal, a book deal, any other deal, make sure, like I said, read the fine print, because that's where really everything is. The big print look good, but the fine print is where the hunk of the information really lies. When you get a credit card, everybody charge up. We'll give you $2,000 back if you charge something. But in the fine print, it's saying 31%, 32%, depending on which credit card company you happen to be using. Right. And most people don't see the fine print in that. So I definitely agree with you, dog. Keep reading the fine print and take your time, because they try to make you rush into thinking you have to sign immediately. No, you didn't get here immediately. So why would you sign immediately?
Correct.
Hey, let me jump in on that, because I think that a lot of times, Darryl, you made a very good analogy that I always use all the time. These are tables and spaces that we've never experienced before. We ain't never sat in them before, right? So therefore, with both of you on this evening, you're the one that's really helping the parent that's great go through this, or the parent that think they know so much about this. And at the end of the day, you go into the car dealership. I sold cars before. So at the end of the day, you'll go to the car dealership. I sell cars every day. You buy a car every 3 to 7 years. You dig? So at the end of the day, I know every trick, every trade. I know every trick of the game as a car salesman, or I knew, to make money off of you. Now, regardless, you can bring your cousin in here and they can have an attitude and all the different things that we do. But at the end of the day, one of the things that I realized was it was a difference between an educated consumer and a non-educated consumer. Depending on the products. Look, I remember when I started dealing, I sold everything, but I remember I was at Acura, I was at BMW, I was at Lexus, and I knew the difference when somebody pulled up and I could see where they got their last car from. If you got your last car from Liberty Ford on Liberty Road, you had bad credit. You know what I mean? You tanked in this car. But when that person came in and said, hey, this is what I got, this is my credit score, I know what y'all paid for the car, I know what I'm going to pay for the car, right? They did due diligence. And at the end of the day, the dealership just wanted to get rid. They just wanted to move another piece of inventory. You know what I mean? Yeah. So with that being, so that was a really great analogy. But the main thing is, what parents don't really understand, or families don't understand, you've never sat at this table before.
Right.
Don't do it by yourself, regardless of how smart you think you are and what information you got. You know what I mean, or what you've read. Rest assured. You know what I mean? You sit across from coaches and universities. And one of the main things that I emphasize, especially that's the reason I started McNair Legacy Solutions, to help families at this space. I can handle the insurance protection of it. But at the end of the day, I have a resource or a network of financial managers, CPAs, transfer consultants. I got a whole bunch of people here that know what they're doing, or they've been to that dealership in that example several times. But Derek, one of the big things I wanted to know, what were some of the mental challenges that you and Marlo dealt with, with this whole NIL thing, you know what I mean, with trying to get to the league, or just, because I think that's the part that parents miss all the time. They think all they see is, oh, my kid going to do this, my kid going to do this, my son or my daughter. But one of the big things they don't realize is that your kid, it's never a straight line to the top of success. You got to have a level of fluidity to kind of pivot when things, and have a resilience and all these a level of resilience, because you're going to get injured, right? Rest assured, you're going to get injured.
Right.
What did that do to Marlo's, you know what I mean, state of mind mentally? And most importantly, how did you keep him engaged, at a level of resilience to still stay in the process?
Well, one, for me, Marlo was keeping him humble. That's the first thing. Two, it's not about chasing a dollar, Paul, like I said before, because that's going to come. What's for you is going to be for you. Now, just to back up a little bit for us with the 99L part, yes, Circus was the start of it. It was a small part. He may have had a couple of them, but one, you want to keep in mind, mentally first as an athlete, what are they going to require from them? Like how much time? Because for an athlete, they are on go 24/7. Off season is the one part where you working the most. When it comes game time, you already know what you got to do. So what are you requiring of the kid to do, as far as posting, showing up for any type of branding, like, on screen? Like, what are you requiring them to do in this contract? So that's a part of that small writing. And then having your child not take on too much. And then going to the next journey, and besides the fact of reading, like I said, what's their percentage, what the child is going, your player is going to get, and what the brand is going to get. Because at the end of the day, they're going to offer something to you, they're going to offer it to 10 other people. So, you know, it's the benefit their business, but it's also supposed to pay, your child, they're using your image. What is he going to get from it financially? But on the other side of it, when, like you said, going into far as we know, up at this point, you're going to get hurt. So it's just a matter of when it's going to happen. It's a part of the game. Marlo's been hurt at a high school level, college level, and it does bother them mentally. You got to kind of stay behind your child, making sure they know, like, just rehabbing, keeping their mind focused. And one thing I've always stated ever since he started, if you invest in your child, you invest in their future. That's something that I live by. So, but that don't mean just investing in them on a football side up. You got to invest in being present, knowing your kid, knowing their moods, knowing, where their challenges are mentally, physically, so you're supporting them in all aspects of that. That helps get them through. And so that's definitely been important in his journey. And I'm sorry, I know I'm probably kind of going a little bit off. I'm just trying to
You
make sure I
fine. You
answer
fine.
everything.
No, you
Because
We
this
on
is
the
a very,
couch. We on the couch. Tell the body we on the couch together.
We on the couch.
yes.
Yeah.
So, you definitely want to let them know, like, okay, this, you already know you can handle the football side of it, but you just got to make sure that your mind and your body and, your focus is right. So that's definitely important. And how else can I bring this around? So, but you saying what other things we went through besides the mental part? You mean far as the working? I mean, getting hurt? Like what? Kind of give me the
That's a
second part of the
reality.
question
The
again.
injury is that's why I try to tell parents all the time, especially from McNair Legacy Solutions. We are an insurance consulting firm.
Hmm.
We protect people, and I try to get families that if your child has a certain level of value, it ain't a matter of when, it ain't a matter of what, it's just a matter of when. And
Yes.
anytime you're protecting your child, you want to be ready when it happens.
Yes.
Especially if they qualify, because the younger you are is obviously the more valuable that you are. Health and time is the best thing that a young person has for creating generational wealth and just everything around that as well. We just have to maximize that opportunity.
Yeah, so one other part I wanted to bring up, definitely, of course, one thing Marty and I have talked about when it comes to the insurance, definitely as parents, keep your keep your health insurance up. Yes, the school is going to definitely cover some expenses if your child gets hurt, but keep in mind, you want to make sure that you advocate for your child. Like, okay, because their goal is to get your child healed, get them back on the field. But the thing is, you want to know, besides the fact, okay, this surgery, and yes, they want your insurance when you're enrolling them in school, because some things they're gonna pay for, but it's some things they're gonna still run through your insurance. But you want to make sure you advocate for your child. Like, hey, what else can you do to help pay for X, Y, and Z? Since your goal is to get my child back on the field, your goal as a parent is to make sure that your child is fully and 100% ready, because you want to make sure, of course, as an athlete, they always just want to play, but you want to make sure that you're protecting your child all the way around. So it's not just, okay, this surgery. You want to know how y'all gonna help for this surgery. Do I have a choice to have to use your school surgeon, or can I go outside of it? And if I choose my own, are you going to still help pay for it? So those are the questions that you always just want to ask, the questions that advocate for your child. I strongly encourage that. Always make sure you're advocating for your child, because of course, yes, they're going to say, well, they're now in college. As a parent, you kind of removed from it. No, you're not. Even though they're adult, you might have to just be present to get them to talk, give consent. But you ask the questions as a parent, or tell your kid, these are the things I need for you to ask, to make sure that they covered that way through the school helping. And then when they get to the NFL level, yes, that's at the time, that's their job. So of course they're going to, just like our jobs, they're going to offer them insurance, but you want to make sure you look out of the scope of that. And that comes into, like Marty can speak on, what other things do you want to help cover your child? Because it's more than just on that football side. And then
Absolutely.
one other thing, like Marty and I have talked about before, when it comes to the NIL, yes, at the college level, it's going to be a lot of schools that want to get your child to jump into the portal. They're going to offer these big dollar things, contracts when it comes to the NIL. But for Marlo and me as a parent, once again, you've working hard, it's going to come in time when you get to that professional level. But at the collegiate level, don't jump. You got to do what's best for you first with jumping into the portal, but make sure it makes sense for you as an athlete wise, not just the NIL deal trying to jump for this school, because you got to remember they're offering those things to several other people too. So for my son, it made sense for him to stay at Syracuse, regardless of what the dollar figure was. Yes, it could have been at a smaller level than the bigger schools, but he was focused on the next journey, making it to the professional level. And then you focus on that, because running to a school that may offer more, they can promise you a whole lot. Like we said, the sales pitch talk like a car.
Yeah.
You come here, I'm gonna give you X, Y, and Z. But the thing is your child gonna get their playing time? Are they gonna be the ones hitting the field like the other 5 and 10 or 15 other people that's the face of the program? So don't just once again jump for everything that sounds good. Let your child think about what's best for them in their position that they're playing at the school that they are. What's gonna really be the small writing if I do decide to enter the portal. Well, don't base it just on the dollars, and look at more like, what is the school offering off of the field? How they going to take care of my child all the way around? So it's a lot of factors and a lot of levels to it that you just got to consider as a parent, besides the child just wanting to make the decision football wise.
Totally agree. Thank you, Derek. Derek, let me say, as I always say, that was the reason I wrote the fifth quarter behind me. Like, I mean, literally, just because of that, because first of all, a child, regardless if they are 18, 19, 20, they get 2 million, a couple 100,000, $500,000, they are still kids, right?
Yeah.
Mentally, they're still kids. And you still their parent. That's why it's so important, Chet, to protect them, know how to protect your child legally, financially, and medically when they get to that level. And we got to have the right forms. Technically at 18, they ain't got to tell us nothing legally. You know what I mean? But Chet, let me flip this over to you, right?
Okay.
You talked about mental health, especially in regards to the whole process, getting paid, the level of accountability that, unfortunately you can overwhelm yourself, if you sign the wrong deal, and what people fail to realize, ain't nobody giving you this money just because they like you. It's the world don't work like that. And let me back up really quick, because Derek, you talked about signing contracts. One thing I tell families all the time, every contract that somebody going to slide in front of you is favorable to them, not you. I ain't never seen a contract check that made sense. It was favorable to me.
Very seldom you will have them. Very seldom.
Right. Exactly.
And that would be like us three on the line sharing with each other, where I believe it would be a favorable contract for both parties. Equal collaboration. But for the most part, you're 100% right, because the contract normally favors one or multiple people on one side than the other.
Exactly, for sure. So, Chet, let me come back over to you. So, you talk about, Darren mentioned, or my question was mental health, right? So, you focus on mental health with Hefe. So basically, like, can you add to how important mental health is in the family dynamic, or just the level of success when it comes to, no matter if you're an athlete, no matter what you're doing, because Chet, I think that, and this is a two-part question. Everybody thinks that success is oh man, I got $5 million. I got this. Yeah, it gives you access to more resources. But at the end of the day, guess what? That person that may, have this significant amount of income, they still gonna run up against a problem. They still gonna run up against mental health problems. They still gonna run up against problems that money cannot solve. if that was the case, Steve Jobs would still be here. Am I right?
Absolutely. A
Got it.
legitimate billionaire. And
Exactly.
unfortunately, money did not solve his health issue. And
Correct.
one of the biggest things, like I shared earlier on the podcast with Hefe, we focus really on 4 areas of personal development, right? And what happens all the time, and those 4 areas are mental wellness, spiritual wellness, physical wellness, and last but not least, financial wellness. And these 4 areas are extremely important, in my opinion, throughout life, whether you're an athlete, a parent, an entertainer, whatever form of life you're desiring to have as you move through life. These 4 components are necessary because oftentimes people normally work on one component at a time, where at a Hefe Lifestyle, we work on all 4 components simultaneously so you can get a good habit going, right? And most people, unfortunately, especially in America, in my opinion, they work on, if I get the finances, I'm going to be great. I'm going to be able to do this. I'm going to be able to do that. I'm going to be able to do that. That's just only one component of your life. Granted, finance is a tool that is necessary to maneuver in this world because it's a bartering system, basically what we're using the finances for. But however, you need spiritual wellness, you need mental wellness, you need physical wellness, and like I always say, last but not least, financial wellness. But they need to always be working simultaneously, not one, because you can pick up spiritually. I just want to be spiritual, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, you still need your mental wellness. You need then your physical wellness. And then you have some people, I want to be physically fit. I want to speak and never work on that mental wellness. And to me, spiritual and mental are the first 2, right? Because if your mind can believe it and can conceive it, you can achieve it, right? Then after those 2, I personally go into physical because you have to be physically in some type of shape to be able to continue this journey called life. And as you mentioned earlier, it's the Steve Jobs. He had all the money financially in the world. However, he couldn't continue his journey with Apple because of his health. So then you need physical. And then last but not least, like Dara even commented several times, in my opinion, your finances will come once you decide to make a commitment, right, into doing your life purpose. And that's what the Hefe, lifestyle is all about, honestly.
Thank you. Hey, that and Derek, you and I spoke because I know I'd asked you, a couple conversations ago. I'm like, what is it? How does it feel to be an NFL mom, right? Because, it's almost like that whole, you just automatically assume that, it's, you arrive, right? And you told me, look, I still go to work every day. I still drive the same car. You know what I mean? Like we ain't there yet, and
Exactly.
Derek, talk to families or parents out there that think, as one of my partners says, and one of my co-hosts, Nick Abrams, always says, your child's NIL deal is not your retirement plan. Can you speak to those parents, please?
Yes, I agree. One NIL deal and then a contract at a professional level. It's not. It's for them. First of all, they the ones on the field. They the ones doing all the hard work. Yes, of course they're gonna think about their parents, but they need to focus on, like Chet just said, making sure financially they're setting themselves up for the future. Because whether it's the NIL, people have to realize they're getting something, but they still they got to pay taxes on that. Then they got their own responsibilities when they're in college. And as a parent, whether your child on scholarship or not, we still have things on the back end that we have to make sure that they can cover. Their rent, their insurance, it's a number of things. So you want to make sure that they realize that money needs to help them still sustain. It's not to go out here and it's not the parent for you to now start feeling like, oh, well, this is for me. No, you still need it for your child. And one thing, like Marty and I have talked about, it's kind of tied into what Chet said. They have to, I believe the finances is on the end, but mentally and physically, they still need to be training. So that money can come help for them training. Then in between the time when they trying to get from the collegiate level to the professional level, you got to remember off season training, they got to see those trainers. They got to travel down to other states. So that money that they try to set up to the side when they getting paid under the NIL deals, they need that so that they can sustain to go from one collegiate level to the professional level, or just keeping up things during that off season. So they need that to cover a lot of their finances. And then it's very important. I agree. The spiritual, the mental, that's the first two things. That's going to get you over to you staying focused. I always say hard work and dedication pays off. So that's going to get them through the physical. Working hard, they got to invest in their body. They got to invest in, like I said, seeing the trainers so that can help get them to the finance part. But you got to realize that that money is for them to sustain, to do those four things. So I, tell people if that NIL is not for them to turn around and say, okay, I'm gonna take care of my parent, and now you stop working. Same thing at the college level as rookies. They not coming off getting these millions and millions of dollars of contracts. They're probably in states where they paying high taxes. But as a parent, you just want to make sure you staying humble just as much as you're trying to get your child to stay humble and save his money. Be ready for things down the road, because same thing in college and even at a professional level, things can change. I mean, we talk about the physical or getting hurt, but anything can happen. You can get traded the day of tomorrow, you can get cut the day of tomorrow. That money needs to work for them. It's not about the parents. So you try to keep your finances and your lifestyle at a normal, so then you helping your child stay humble, keeping their finances at a level. So if you stay humble, you stay mentally fit, you stay physically fit, you think about your finances, and you showing him to do the same thing. You can't expect for them to now just say, okay, it's time for them. No, they working hard, you work hard, stand behind them. And once again, like I say, you're investing in your child, you're investing in their future, so you got to do it right along with them.
Right. Thank you.
Well, it is. And Mark, excuse me, but one important thing that I even talked about, what a lot of people don't realize, these careers aren't super long.
Right.
So that's a very important factor, that even though they come from AAU, Pop Warner,
that's a long
and
time,
work their way up, and we all know, even if you're lucky and blessed, because I don't believe in luck, blessed enough to put in the hard work and dedication to make it to that top tier level, because we all know it's a lot of colleges, there's a lot of schools where the pool of people actually making it, you have a better chance of hitting a mega million.
Oh, small percentages is small. Yeah.
And then after you make it, like you said, the window is not a long window, 30 years. No.
No.
So people
hey,
have to really be understanding this part of it.
Right.
So that money's not coming in, and like you say, wisely investing it, putting it in, things that can compound interest, but really understanding and don't let you get hurt.
Yeah,
right.
That window then shorten even more time frame. So the average athlete, if you're lucky, get 5 years in the NFL. If you're lucky.
3.
Right.
What you need? 3 and change
3 to get the pension, I believe.
Get the pension.
And very few. Get that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very few get that.
So I believe, and that's why I say I'm still gonna drive the same car. I'm still staying in the same house. Because people just think like, oh my God, your child made it to the NFL. Now what you ready to do? You about to retire? No.
And that's one thing I love about
you. On the field. He set up his future. His mom is gonna stay with the same car, the same house, and keep focusing because that's still, that's his
we
career,
ain't there yet.
not mine.
Yeah.
Right.
Same thing with NIL. This is money for him to use so he can get to the next level. Because once again, he got to pay for training. He got to make sure he's, investing in his body, whether, it's training. I mean, they do a whole lot of other things. Like he needs that for him. And you got to remember, as a parent, just like you supporting those other things in college, you're supporting those other things off season too. So you got to, you can't just blow through something. Like you got to remember what it's there for.
Darren, let me ask you, right? And Chet, you know this, but Darren made some very good point. What's gas costing in LA right now, Darren? What's rent in LA right now, Darren, for a rookie?
Oh, yes. Right now.
That's
why Molo has an electric car. Gas probably like $8 a gallon, $7 a gallon. So those are things I talk to him about. when he got there, first of all, don't commit to something an apartment for a whole year. Like you said, my son wasn't thinking about getting no apartment until he knew he made that roster. So
Right.
before that, oh yeah, we're gonna take advantage of this staying in the hotel. And
Yeah.
which most of the rookies had to, but even once he got signed, he made the roster. Get yourself a lease. Do it for 6 months. Just do it for a short period of time because outside of the season, you coming home. There's no sense of committing to a year year lease. And then when it's time that the team have to stay in a hotel, then fine. Check and tell you living in LA. Once again, depending on where you get picked up from, cost of living is high. And don't commit yourself to a car yet. Get like he made a smart deal. He researched. Okay, in LA, oh, it's high. Gas costs a lot. He got an electric car. It makes sense for him. Don't even commit and lease your car. Don't commit to a car yet. And then once again, when you keep your child humble, he's not worried about all those things he can treat himself to. Those are contracts down the road. Make smart decisions now. But I also told Marty, you got to start that also with them in the college level. One thing I would
you got to start that at home.
Yes, at home too. And he saw how his mom was sacrificing. Like I told him at the high school level, if I sacrifice and put you in this private school, then I need you to make sure you get college paid for because and then once we got you to college, you keep them grades up because guess what? Everybody know Syracuse is one of them right around. You got to keep your grades up because I can't pay $80,000 a year for you. So that means you put those things on their mind because they think in football, but if they know if they keep them grades up, they stay on their field.
Yeah, it's a level of accountability.
Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And like one thing I'm going to credit his coach to, up at Syracuse and credit Syracuse, they definitely started instilling about financial literacy. So they took a lot of classes and things to talk about things with the NIL and then getting to the next level. One thing about his coach, he was a very spiritual guy. So he tried to make them rounded outside of just the football player. So that's one thing Marty and I talk about. You got to think about those decisions, high school, college, what fits your child. And when they paying attention, they going to think about that when it comes to the next level. So when you visit in these schools, you already know as a parent, you know what your kid can bring to that team. Your kid knows what he can bring to that team. But you need to interview them schools, just like you interview agents, anything else. What else are you offering? How else are you going to take care of my child off of this field? Because he's going to do what he got to do on the field. And most parents know they're athletes. But what else are you offering me? Don't show me just the pretty old tour. No, get invested. Talk to other players. Talk to other parents. Once again, advocate for your child besides him being an athlete because it's more than just that. So I used to tell him when we visited schools, after that, we're going to go on these visits. Do that one-on-one. Same thing when you're talking to people that's helping you in this journey. I don't want to just see a piece of paper. Let's talk one-on-one because your instinct and your vibe that you get and how they going to then advocate for your child in these rooms, you need to feel comfortable with that. So ask them the questions. Talk to other players. Talk to other parents because like anything else, like I said, it's a car. They're going to give you the pretty picture. But I want to know what's behind that pretty picture. How does this car drive? What does this car do? What is it going to do for me when it breaks down? How valuable is it still going to be?
How much am I paying per month?
Right, exactly. So you need to know
how much interest
going to do with these people. There, you need to know all of that. So ask all of those questions. And that's why I used to tell my child when we would visit high schools, go on these visits, write down your pros and what you like about the school. Write down their cons about the school. What you know you want to see them do behind you since you're going to be offering them and you know what you can do on the field. So you have to do that at the college level. And then if you start instilling that early, it's going to stick with them. So when they're taking meetings and they're interviewing with potential financial advisors, potential agents, potential NIL agents, because there is a difference, they're going to know to ask those questions. And then as a parent, when they want to join you into the next meeting or call, because trust me, they talking to them first. They selling to them first. Then you know what your questions are. And like Chet say, fact check, Google questions, ask other people because we got to ask. If you don't ask, you don't know.
You don't know.
And please do not lean on AI as your go-to answers.
Or Chet,
what if you ain't got no lawyer, Chet? What you supposed to do? Look, what if you ain't for real? If you ain't got no lawyer, right? and AI being what AI is nowadays, right? You know, so and most people, and I'm a big AI guy. I got the fifth quarter. I got my own GPT that we offer. You know, all you gotta do is reach out to us. I'll make sure you get it. You can ask questions from the book or whatever the case may be. But Chet, you know, and Darren, thank you, by the way, because Chet, I'm gonna let you ride out for the next 10 minutes, right? You know, with FA,
this family here to
Yes.
me, so I'm enjoying it.
Thank you. Absolutely, absolutely. And these are the consistent conversations that I had with both of my two good friends here. Chet, when you look at you, and we're gonna come back to, let's put a pin in the whole contract situation, right?
Okay.
But Chet, nowadays, what's the difference between being rich and being wealthy?
Well, most people don't understand rich is not wealthy because rich can go today, right? And that was the old saying I was taught. If you add up all the money you had and you can spend it within a day, you nowhere near rich either. And you damn sure ain't wealthy.
Right.
So wealthy is another level of being able to harness in on not only your immediate family, extended family, community, and so forth and whatnot. And wealth is able to be passed down, right? To one generation to the next generation and continue to build from that. Most people know I was ghetto rich at one time. I thought I was wealthy, but if you can spend all your money in a day, you're nowhere close in that space. And one of the biggest wealth things you can get is learning and having more knowledge available at your fingertips. That's one of the biggest things that you can get as far as wealth, as far as knowledge goes.
Got it.
Financial wealth, yes, there's definitely a difference between rich and wealthy. And unfortunately, we live in a society that everyone is not going to be wealthy. I'm sorry to tell y'all. But however, with the Hefe lifestyle, I'm keep bringing it back, is because it concentrates on being your own boss of your lifestyle. Absolutely. Thank you for having the book on, Marty. I forgot to bring one myself.
No, don't worry, I got you.
I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, I got you.
But it actually concentrate on you living a healthy lifestyle, boss lifestyle within your own rights. Because our econ system is set up that everybody not going to be a multimillionaire, everybody not going to be a multi-billionaire. However, like Dar said, if you plan properly and continue to plan out your legacy, as they call it these days, you can have a healthy life, not just financially, well-rounded life. And that's where a lot of people, I believe, miss the boat because they're so caught up in, if I get me some money, I'm going to be okay. And no, if you really understand money, which that's why I say I like wellness study than literacy, it's just a tool, right? And that tool can change depending on where you're located at. Because as you can see now, we got Bitcoin. So it's a currency tool that what the majority agree upon is that the trade. Because at one time you was trading cattle, sheep, goats, gold, silver, and so forth. So each time the econ system and the trading system can change. One day it might even be tennis shoes. I doubt it, but it could be. And we might have some multi-billionaire people if we talk about tennis shoes.
Right.
But in reality, getting back seriously, it is a difference. And often, and we have to realize, in particular America, everyone's not going to be wealthy nor rich. However, you can live a healthy lifestyle.
Absolutely. Chet, let me ask you this, man. So, you know, I heard one of your interviews, you on another podcast, and you talked about how to create generational wealth through an insurance policy, right? Can you speak to that, please?
Absolutely. That's one of the biggest tools that we, people of color in particular, aren't really aware of, right? Is because growing up, and I'm not trying to generalize in this space, but when I grew up, we wasn't taught about insurance policies and getting the policies on you and whatnot. And in that particular interview, I described how you could be best friends growing up. And I go ahead. And you know, best friends. your parent pass away and leave you a $50,000 policy. You see the separation happen that fast? The other parent pass away and leave them a debt policy, meaning they had to find the money to bury you. So now at 50,000 and 100, when y'all used to hang out every day, you're now meeting people with 50,000 or more. Now, what you do with it, that's a whole different subject. However, just say you was taught, learned appropriate management of money, right? So now you're taking your 50,000, your family member is buried correctly, put away correctly. Now you're taking your remaining 50,000 and then putting it in other funds that can potentially earn you compound interest, or another business or businesses that can continue to build your wealth. Where the other family has now trying to find 30 days, 60 days later, where are we finding this money to bury? So now that continues to happen. So as I said, insurance is one of the biggest things, in my opinion, that can help bridge that gap with financing.
Yep. Chet, where can we get your book at? I know it came across the screen. Man, and Chet, one of the big things I've learned as an author, right? 2, 3, 4 times. And one of the things I focus on now is, as opposed to telling you what my book is about, I really want to focus on what a reader will get from my book, right? So what will a person get from 52 weeks of Hefe inspirational quotes?
Well, one of the things they get from 52 weeks of Hefe's inspirational quotes is personal development, mindset. And once, like I said, we talked earlier, if you're able to change your mind to a positive direction, and I'm not saying every day going to be hunky-dory or pleasantry. However, if you had the mindset, that then helps you develop discipline in that space. So that book right there takes you on a journey for a year where it covers prayer, perspective, persistence, and prosperity. And it repeats itself so it can then become a habit where you have a section of reflection, not only reflecting on it, actually putting into application. Because we have oftentimes people have good understandings, but we know, and everybody know, you have to do the work. You have to actually have an action put in place to do the work. So the 52 weeks of Hefe Inspiration takes you on a year journey on personal mastery. Yeah, thank you for letting me speak upon that part.
No, because Darren, I'm sitting here, I'm holding my book up and I'm looking at it, and I know I've had it for a minute, and I got some pages dog-eared, I do, but I haven't written anything in it in a sense. So, Chet, I'm going to commit to writing and taking the journey. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, take the journey with me, and I tell anybody, it's just a starting point to continue to build on your betterment and greatness. Because if you're whole, you can then help the next person be whole. But if you're not whole, you cannot help. You know how that old saying go on an airplane? Put your mask on first. That's a reason for that.
Ooh, that's deep.
That's a reason. And let me circle back some before I tell you where you get the book real quick. Most people, like Doug said, the parents or people that had these special athletes that are excelling in these sports, they need to do homework as well.
Mm-hmm.
They need to commit to doing better and learning more so they can best put their children, family member in a better position to succeed. Plain and simple. So real quick, because I don't know if the time running down or not, Mon, you can find the book.
We run it down.
You can find the book on Amazon.com as well as a hefeLifestyle.com.
Yep. Thank you.
You can find the book at.
And we talk about these books because, hey, the fifth quarter, this is a book that every parent of a student athlete should read because, again, it trains you. I was just telling a friend of mine earlier on what the book was about. This helps you prepare your child for what's at the next level. These are the reasons that, rest assured, we ain't making no ton of money. We just literally have a genuine interest to help somebody.
Exactly. So, and as my fiance, success leaves clues. So don't try to reinvent the wheel.
Absolutely.
Don't try to
Absolutely.
reinvent the wheel.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
programs, it's people out here that have already laid the path. You know that old saying, I come to the fork in the road and I go straight. No, it's okay to go right or left,
Absolutely.
depending on which way you're trying to go.
Absolutely, for
You
sure.
don't have to
Hey,
repay something.
Yeah,
totally
and then as
agree.
parents, we not perfect. You always just want better
Yeah.
for your child. So
Yep.
we make
Yep.
sacrifices, we make bad decisions. It's hills and valleys and all of it.
Yep.
So teach your child that too, but then just wanting them to make better decisions for themselves because as a parent, we've already been sacrificing. We've already set times may have put ourselves in debt trying to once again, like I said, investing in your child, you're investing in their future. So if they get it right and you just try to step by step, you let them see both sides of it. And then they'll make better
Absolutely.
decisions, like Chet saying, and using the
Yeah.
books. And for me, highlighting and Chet book, I'm every day trying to, but I'm highlighting some of the things that stand out the most for me. Put
Right.
it on a little sticker. I put it on my little
Yeah.
windows. I mean my
Yeah.
mirror, so I can read, and it's helping me. So then I can now pass.
Absolutely. Yep.
Absolutely.
Oh
I
my
think we
God!
lost her. She got good with it for sure. So, hey,
Absolutely.
Chet, man, Dara, I definitely want to thank you. I don't know what Dara might have, if her computer went out or something, but man, I
She'll be
want to
back.
thank y'all for joining us, man, for sure. I mean, a great dynamic. Thank you for being a guest on the fifth quarter, man.
Thank you
Chet,
for
we know
having
where
me
to
on.
find you at. Where can we find you at on social media? Real
Yes.
quick.
You can find me at a_hefelifestyle.com or Hefe Lifestyle or Chat Chats or at hefelifestyle.com.
Got it. All right. Hey, continue to follow us at the Jordan McNair Foundation. Man, we'll keep on doing what we're doing, bringing this information to parents and families alike. Our main goal is to build trust and we educate and build trust. That's why we're here. You know, we bring on guests that, not folks. I mean, excuse me, we bring on guests that are relevant to us. You know what I mean? Like, we're genuinely in this all together for sure. Your child's success is all of our success. We're a village, and that's the perspective that we come from. So everybody, thank you for joining us this evening. Be on the lookout for the next episode of the Fifth Quarter Live, man, for sure. So thank you, everybody, and have a great evening. Chet, thank you again, brother. Always, man. I appreciate
Always, brother.
Dara, I know you got cut a little prematurely, Dara, but hey,
Yeah,
thank you
sorry
again.
about
There
that.
she back.
Yeah. So
Thank
Dara,
you
we
for having me.
going off, man. Nothing but love, as always. Thank you for your wisdom and your journey, because literally, like, listening to you now, you sound like a veteran at this, where early on, hey, we was all trying to figure it out together. So Dara, if you got any parting words you want to tell everybody on our way out, but thank you again.
Just thank you for having me. And as a parent, I just wanted to give a little just real talk, not just we know
Absolutely.
all of the good and positive things, but just the things to keep in mind. And like I said, if every day you approach this as for your kid, it's hard work and dedication. It's hard work and dedication as a parent. Just make sure you're investing in your child, advocating for your child, being there and being in touch. You know your child, so you know how to mentally be focused on him, and then let him work out the physical part, and then you both work out the finance part together and just make good decisions and stay humble. So that's what I give. Thank you for having me.
Yep, you got it. Thank you. I encourage everybody on the way out, please visit the Jordan McNair Foundation. I'm sorry, the McNairLegacySolutions.com. We got a ton of good information on this whole process. A lot of the common mistakes that most families make, and you just don't know what you just don't know. Ain't no crime there. Unfortunately, I mean, it's just that luckily you have a resource of information that, we got folks that can really get you through. Please do not sit at any of these contracts or any of these tables alone. You do not have to at all. You do not have to. You have a village. Use your resources of information with organizations like ours, people like us, you know what I mean? And rest assured, you got more people out here that want to see you win and see your family be in a much, much better position for this opportunity that you may have than you think, for sure. So we signing out, everybody. Have a great evening.
Good night.
Good night.